If thou feelest to be for thy soul's peace, and that thy earthly punishment will thereby be made more effectual to salvation, I charge thee to speak out the name of thy fellow sinner and fellow sufferer.
Hester Prynne was a beautiful young lady, but she had committed a crime, the crime of adultery. In Puritan New England, adulterers were shunned by everyone, and Hester was forced to wear an A for the rest of her life.
Wouldst thou avenge thyself on thy innocent babe?
Foolish woman, what should ail me to harm this misbegotten and miserable babe? The medicine is potent for good, and were it my child, yea, my own, as well as thine, I could do no better for it.
Chillingworth vowed to find the father of the baby and make his life miserable. Hester moved to the outskirts of town and became a seamstress. Pearl grew into a very impish and crazy girl. Hester and Pearl went to the governor's mansion to give the governor some gloves she made for him.
Hester, would it be better for Pearl first to taketh her away from you?
We shall see if she is educated in the proper Puritan teachings.
Let us ask little Pearl, who made thee? Canst thou tell me, child, who made thee?
I was plucked by my mother off the rose bush by the prison door. Hee hee.
After this interrogation, Pearl went over to Dimmesdale and touched him for some reason.
Would you like to come to an authentic witch party?
No, I would not!
Are you sure about that? We've got bones, potions, and broomsticks galore!
Chillingworth, who was staying with Reverend Dimmesdale as his personal physician, and Dimmesdale were having a heated discussion about where a certain black herb grew.
Oh, on a grave, of course. They grew out of a dead person's heart, and it may be because some hideous secret that was buried with him, and which he had done better to confess during his lifetime.
I've had enough of this. You're a doctor, and you don't deal in medicine of the soul. My soul's remedies come from God's holy word. Oh, my chest!
As Dimmesdale lay down in pain to sleep it off, Chillingworth opened his shirt to find a red A burned into his chest. With the father of Pearl identified, Chillingworth grew more evil and evil every day.
Ah ha 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 ha! Ah ha ha ha! Ah ha ha! Ah!
With the great weight of his sin on his shoulders, Dimmesdale decided to approach the scaffold in the middle of the night.
Come up hither, Hester, thou and little Pearl. Ye have both been here before, but I was not with you. Come up hither once again, and we will stand all three together.
Can you come up with us tomorrow and hold my hand?
No, little Pearl, I cannot. Labor to know God, and to be affected with his attributes, and always to live as in his sight. No man can know sin perfectly, because no man can know God perfectly. You can no further know what sin is than you know what God is, whom you sin against. For the formal malignity of sin is relative, as it is against the will and attributes of God. The godly have some knowledge of the malignity of sin, because they have some knowledge of God that is wronged by it.
It has been 7 years since Hester stood on the scaffold alone. Hester and Pearl decided to take a walk on the beach, where they came upon the physician.
Hello, Hester. I heard that the magistrates were thinking of letting you take off your scarlet letter.
It lies not in the pleasure of the magistrates to take off this badge. Were I worthy to be quit of it, it would fall away of its own nature, or be transformed into something that should speak a different purport. Oh, silly Pearl, dost thou know the true reason I wear this A?
Truly do. It is for the same reason that the minister keeps his hand over his heart.
Some say that the Black Man haunts the forest and accepts witches into his evil book. Hester and Pearl were on their way to that very forest to meet Dimmesdale.
Mother, the sunshine does not love you.
Run away, child, and catch the sunset. It will soon be gone.
Thou little knowest what a relief it is, after the torment of 7 years' cheat, to look into an eye that recognizes me for what I am.
This is true, but I must tell you something. Chillingworth is my husband.
I might have known it. Was not the secret told me, in the natural recoil of my heart, at the first sight of him, and as often as I have seen him? Why did I not understand? O Hester Prynne, thou little knowest all the honor of this thing, and the shame, and the indelicacy, the horrible ugliness of this exposure of a sick and guilty heart to the very eye that would gloat over it. Woman, thou art accountable for this. I cannot forgive thee. Happy are you, Hester, that wear the scarlet letter openly on your bosom. Mine burns in secret.
I will remove my ignominious mark, and we will leave Boston forever then.
Dimsdale walked home from the forest and met many townsfolk that looked up to him. He was tempted to ruin his spiritual connection with them and completely roast them. Luckily, he made it to his house in time.
In this verse is threatened the vengeance of God on the wicked, unbelieving Israelites, who were God's visible people, and who lived under the means of grace, but who, notwithstanding all God's wonderful works towards them, remained void of counsel, having no understanding in them, under all the cultivations of heaven. They brought forth bitter and poisonous fruit, as in the 2 verses next preceding the text. The expression I have chosen for my text, "their foot shall slide in due time," seems to imply the following doings relating to the punishment and destruction.
It was election day in Salem, and after Dimsdale's flawless sermon, the procession marched along the streets until they reached the scaffold, where Dimsdale hunched over in pain. Chillingworth attempted to convince Dimsdale not to tell everyone the secret, but Dimsdale beckoned Hester and Pearl to the scaffold. Dimsdale told them about the sin. He fell down, breathless. Pearl kissed his lips. A spell was broken. The great scene of grief, in which the wild infant bore a party, had developed all her sympathies. And as her tears fell upon her father's cheeks, they were the pledge that she would grow up amid human joy and sorrow, nor forever do battle with the world, but be a woman in it. Towards her mother, too, Pearl's errand as a messenger of anguish was all fulfilled. A new grave was made, near an old and sunken one, in that burial ground beside which King's Chapel has since been built. It was near that old and sunken grave, yet as with a space between, as if the dust of the 2 sleepers had no right to mingle, yet one tombstone served for both.